Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. So we are back in lockdown, and what I thought I'd do is I thought I'd start a new series for the channel where I speak to some of my favourite creators just to touch base with them, find out how they're doing, how they're feeling, how lockdown has affected their business and what advice they have for anybody else in their situation as we go into this third lockdown. I've called it Lounging in Lockdown, and the only rules are that you have to have a drink and you have to be in loungewear. So yeah, just really relaxed, just having a few chats with a few creatives that I know. And I thought, what better way to start than with my good friend Sophia Carey, who is a great friend of the channel. You'll have seen her stuff loads of times before, but her Instagram and her YouTube will be linked down below. So let's have a chat with Sophia and see how she's getting on. So Sophia, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all. I was going to say what you're drinking, but I can see there that you've got your water bottle.
Yeah, it's a half a gallon. I'm doing a gallon challenge, so that was hard to say. Gallon challenge. So I've got to drink 2 of these a day. As you can see, I'm not very far through it at all.
So still a way to go
see.
yet. Mm-hmm. Well, I've got a fresh pot of coffee, and I think that my challenge in lockdown is pretty much drinking 2 of these a day. So obviously back into lockdown, third time, and sort of how are you feeling about it?
A little bit mixed. I feel like it's definitely the right thing to do in terms of what's right for the country and everything. But obviously it does cause a lot of financial stress. It causes a lot of uncertainty in life in general. Being stuck inside, especially in the winter, is not as fun as it was in the summer.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, so I don't know, a bit indifferent, I guess. Just seeing how I go.
Yeah,
how about you?
I think that everybody kind of feels pretty much the same way, which is like it's necessary. We don't particularly like it. We don't particularly want it, but what I think everybody wants is for us to get back to some sort of normality, and to do that, we've got to do it. And like you say, it's not like it was back in summer where obviously I walk my dog every day, and back in summer in the first or second lockdown, whichever one it was, the amount of people that I saw out walking compared to like the summer before were crazy. But obviously now in winter everybody's just kind of locked up inside, watching Netflix, watching YouTube hopefully.
Yeah. I definitely feel like the whole like getting dark early thing it's not great. It's not ideal for a lockdown. I think in the summer, in the spring, it was a lot more bearable because we did have long light days. You could finish work and go for a walk or whatever. Now it's just a bit more depressing, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of reflects your mood, weather, doesn't it? And if it's cold and it's dark and it's dreary, that kind of affects how you feel. Whereas if it's middle of summer, it's really sunny, like you say, going out for walks in an evening and stuff like that, I think it does reflect it. How do you think that? I mean, that's kind of answered my next question, which in terms of personally, but how do you feel professionally if this one feels compared to the last 2 lockdowns? Do you feel in a better place? Do you feel like you're more prepared?
I feel as though it's kind of like a little bit easier than the first lockdown, because as far as I know, we weren't able to work in the first lockdown, and as far as I know, we are in this one. But it almost feels like worse than the last one that we had, like the half one, because I feel like people were still booking photographers within that kind of time period. Whereas now I just feel like people, and probably rightly so, either want to be safe and don't want to hire a photographer or don't have the money to hire a photographer. So yeah, things are a bit slower for sure.
Yeah, I think I've noticed the same with that, which is during the first lockdown it was kind of blanket ban. There is no work in terms of outside your own home. Like location, studio, everything. Whereas, like you say, in the second lockdown, as long as there was social distancing, using masks, sanitising. I mean, I did videos about shooting during during the pandemic and making sure that it was done safe. Whereas, like you say, I think now we're now suffering that knock-on effect, which is that brands and clients and companies, they've took that hit in 2020, and I think that photography is one of them things that we've spoke about it before. Photography is one of them things that's seen as a luxury and it's not a priority. But one thing that
definitely.
I noticed that you did in 2020, or sort of did more of, and there's loads of videos on your channel, I'll link them down below as well, is you did a lot of product photography, which obviously solves that.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something that you think you're going to be doing more of moving forwards?
I think, like, ideally, yes, I would like to do more of it, but I think the issue that I have there is that although I get like the odd product photography client, that's not necessarily what I'm known for. So it's almost like you have to kind of build up your clientele all over again, like find new clients and appeal to a new audience. And if you go on my Instagram, like, you wouldn't think I do product photography because I don't really post it. So it's like, it's one of those things where, I would do it if I got the work, but it's a different kind of have to start again when it comes to finding the clients.
Yeah, you've not got that kind of bank of clients that you can you can fall back on. And sort of during the last 12 months, what do you think has been the best advice that you've received?
In terms of in terms of my life or like
career? Any whether it's professional, personal, anything whatsoever, anything that somebody's sort of said or that you've read or that you've watched or heard that's that's inspired you.
Other than buy more Bitcoin, I feel like I feel like this was within the last 12 months, I guess, and I feel like the pandemic has made me realise the importance of this. But I feel like before the pandemic, people were really stressing the importance of like taking a break and having rest, and at the time I didn't really feel like I needed to, I guess. Like, I felt like I was doing quite well, and I think actually having to like force myself to pause in March, April, that kind of time, made me realise the importance of what all those people were saying and how essential it is to your life and your work and your productivity in general, just to take a break. It's really hot in here, I'm just going to take my chest on.
No, I've not mentioned actually, you definitely took the lounging in lockdown memo, so yeah, fair play for that. I'm in hoodie, joggers, so yeah, it's definitely about being in comfies. But yeah, so picking up on that, I think that I completely agree, and what I do recommend to everybody watching is up in this corner, I think it is when it's moved, up in one of these corners will be a card to Sophia's video about avoiding burnout and how important it is to take a break. So literally echoing exactly what you've just said there, which is being forced to take that break really made me as well, and I know that we've spoken about it a lot, it really made me think, actually, I needed this. Maybe not to the extent of this, but I needed something to stop me in my tracks and say, do you know what? You don't have to be sat up editing until 3 o'clock. You don't have to be shooting 7 days a week. You don't have to be constantly online looking for jobs or looking for inspiration or editing or shooting. It is absolutely fine to take a break, take a few days, take a week, take a fortnight, and just really, really make sure that you rest, getting that sleep in, and then the way that I felt coming back to photography after doing that was I felt really refreshed, I felt really inspired, I'd got a much better sort of vision of what I was wanting to do and how I was wanting to move forward. So I feel like exactly the same as that. On the flip side, what's the one piece of advice that you would give to, and this is professionally now, so what's the one piece of advice you would give to creatives that are sort of concerned about their business moving into lockdown 3?
I'd give like two kind of bits of advice that kind of run parallel to each other. One is like, just don't give up, like keep going with it, because perseverance is the best skill you can have. Just keep going. It would have been very easy for a lot of us to kind of say, and there's nothing wrong with this, but it would have been very easy to kind of give up on the idea of working in the creative realm and change maybe career paths when all this happened. But I think if you can sustain fighting throughout it all, you're going to be a better creative, a better business person at the end of it all. And I guess following on from that is like diversifying your income is really important. I think that's something that I've learned a lot this year. you can't just rely on, especially when you're freelance, you can't just rely on one source of income, because
Absolutely.
what happens when that goes? Like, we've seen that now. You need to have a way of making sure you've still got something coming in.
Yeah, definitely. It's, I mean, again, because me and Sophia are really close friends, we have spoken about these things before, but multiple streams of income it's just so important. And yeah, I would echo exactly that, which is, if you, I mean, I've had to do it myself this year, and like, I never thought that I'd be going out round to businesses and taking like LinkedIn profile shots, but
Yeah.
going and spending a day at a business shooting their LinkedIn profile shots and getting just stock content for them for their like LinkedIn pages and for their website. Doing that was like roughly 2 weeks' wage.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'd never even contemplated before. And like you say, product photography, stock photography, commercial photography. There's so many different ways with photography that you can diversify, and it's the same in every single creative genre, really. Whether it's videography, whether it's styling, whether it's makeup, there's so many different ways that you can go around it. And I think that one thing that I've noticed that a lot more people have done is they've tried to share their experience. So like, I know makeup artists that had their entire career taken away. You can't sit and paint somebody's face during lockdown.
Yeah.
And they've been doing things like tutorials, they've been using TikTok and Instagram Reels. And I think that the people that do that and the people that find other ways to get their business out there and promote themselves, I think that they're definitely going to be the ones that succeed.
Yeah, I guess it's just about adapting.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry, is there a delay?
No. There's a little bit of a delay, but yeah, the last thing that I was going to ask is, how do you feel your business is today compared to 12 months ago? Do you think it's stronger? Do you think it's weaker? Or do you think it's pretty much the same?
I think it's stronger. I think if you looked at my bank account, you might disagree. But I think it's stronger because I think that I've learned how to kind of like get through, like weather these storms kind of thing. And I feel like it kind of related to what we were saying about taking a break. I always felt as though I couldn't afford to take like a holiday or something. If I did take a holiday, I'd always make it a short holiday because I'd be like, well, I can't get money.
Work.
Yeah, I need to get back to work. And I think, being forced to essentially take like 3 months off work made me realise that actually it's okay. I can take a week off if I need to. It's not going to end my life. Like, it's okay. So yeah, I feel like I've definitely learnt how to adapt to these kind of circumstances and persevere through it. And I think in the long run, that's going to mean that my business runs better than it was before.
Sounds good. Another thing that I just want to mention as well is I just want to congratulate you on the way that your YouTube channel has absolutely blown up in the last 12 months.
Thank you.
And I think that is just a reflection of the value that you give out in those videos, and I know the effort that goes into them. But B, also as well, it just shows that sharing your journey and helping other people that may well be in similar positions, whether that is as a photographer, whether that's as a creative, or just as a freelance entrepreneur. Obviously, with the business videos that you're doing now that are more about sort of the business aspect of it, I know that there are a lot of people that aren't even photographers that are getting good value from that. So I just wanted to congratulate you on that as well.
Thank you.
And then sort of just for anybody watching, what else have you got sort of going on over the next sort of few months post lockdown, hopefully?
Post lockdown, I don't know when this lockdown's ending.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I'm definitely going to be carrying on with my YouTube. That when I talk about like diversifying my income as well, that's a really good way of kind of doing that, creating some sort of passive form of income. Is something that I definitely feel like my business needed. And also I just really enjoy it. I think it's given me an outlet to be able to explore different areas of photography where I probably wouldn't have allowed myself to experiment with them, just because I feel like this is going back to what I was saying about not taking a break. I felt like I'd got to the point where I was shooting because it was work and not because I enjoyed it. And lockdown made me realise that actually I still do really enjoy what I do, and that I should shoot for myself and for what I want to be doing and expanding my skills because I want to and not because a client has asked me to or whatever. And I feel like YouTube has kind of almost, not that I needed to justify it, but it's given me an outlet to justify learning those skills. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more with my YouTube.
Oh, perfect. Sounds good. I know exactly what you mean about that with YouTube. Like we were just we were talking earlier today about the fact that between us we've got 22 cameras.
Yeah,
and
it's a bit ridiculous.
I can pretty much guarantee that about half of them are either on YouTube videos, for YouTube videos, or have been inspired by YouTube videos. So yeah, it's definitely good to like you say, you shouldn't have to, but to justify to yourself, this is why I'm going out and shooting this, and this is why I'm going out and making some content just for myself. So Sophia, thank you very much for joining me today, and for making the effort with your dressing gown. Hope that you get through your gallon of water. I'll definitely be getting through
Yeah,
the
it's not
coffee.
looking too good, so we'll see.
Absolutely. Everybody watching, make sure that you go and check all the links down below. And like I say, I've put some cards up at the top with Sophia's videos as well. And we'll see you in the next episode of Lounging in Lockdown.